Good morning. I have had a lifelong obsession with cars, and that really started by instantly being hooked by the craftsmanship, later evolving into collecting them. But still, what I love most about cars is customization. And so in college, after I got the car of my dreams, I did what car enthusiasts do first, which is look to upgrade the wheels. Because wheels provide both a cosmetic as well as a performance benefit, unlike any other aftermarket part. But unfortunately, wheels are extremely expensive. And as a broke college kid, I couldn't afford the $5,000 cost that a new set ranged. And so I looked for a used set to save some money. And the concept of looking for a used alternative to a highly sought after, oftentimes expensive product is not a new concept. Whether you're a sneakerhead or a watch collector, there's a multitude of marketplaces completely curated to facilitating the transaction of used products. So I figured surely there would be one for automotive enthusiasts. And I turned to the car community asking where to find that. And that's where I ran into a classmate of mine who not only had the same exact car as me, but funny enough, he also had the same exact problem in looking for used wheels online. And so together we hit the internet in search, but we quickly ended up looking a lot like this. Forced to use platforms that were never really designed or tooled for car enthusiasts, let alone the product of wheels. And this problem isn't isolated to just 2 college students. There are 67 million car enthusiasts worldwide who are forced to use platforms that just don't work. And this really creates 3 main problems. The first is local classified sites restrict your search criteria to local nearby areas as well as neighborhoods. They've become unmoderated, which has resulted in a lot of scammers and misrepresented products. And lastly, when it comes to wheels, there's really no telling whether or not the wheels you're looking at on screen will actually fit your car. And so added up, this results in months of frustrating search and really dampens an otherwise joyful process. Good morning. My name is Kyle Mayers. I'm co-founder and CEO of WHEELPRICE, the after marketplace. And that classmate of mine is Wally Nemain. He's co-founder and chief product officer. And together we've built a first of its kind platform designed for car enthusiasts to seamlessly buy and sell wheels. WHEELPRICE offers global access to a curated supply of wheels. We've built in a reputation system so that trust is really at the core of the platform. And we've built a compatibility filter so you no longer have to take weeks, if not months, to find wheels that actually fit on your vehicle. We're able to generate revenue through enabling a 10% transaction fee on every wheel that's listed and sold. And I know you've made it this far through the presentation, but you're probably wondering, well, how many wheels are actually out there on the internet being bought and sold? If you were actually pull up your phone or computer and search wheel on Facebook Marketplace, you would see that there are over 620,000 chaotically listed wheels. And each year this represents $4.5 billion being spent. And now while we are strategically but narrowly focused on wheels right now, as we continue to scale the company, we plan on growing into additional product categories, which represent a $100 billion opportunity. And we focused on getting there by building a community. And so every month we host local Charlotte WHEELPRICE meetups that have seen thousands of attendees, some of them driving upwards of 6 hours just to pull up to one of these events. In addition, we've built a really strong digital community of automotive enthusiasts. This has helped to lower our customer acquisition cost and really help that customer discovery process and make it enjoyable as well. And in terms of traction, right now, we just 2 weeks ago surpassed 9,000 registered users on the platform and surpassed $5.5 million worth of total wheels listed. And we've accomplished this with under $1,000 in marketing. In addition, over the last year, we've had an incredible opportunity to join programs such as Techstars and NC IDEA, which has helped both financing as well as providing mentorship for the platform. Now, none of this would be possible without a strong team. As I mentioned before, that classmate, Wally Nemain, he's our chief product officer. He's built incredible development teams at a global scale, working for Fortune 50 companies. And Kirk Vanderheyden is our secret weapon in lowering our customer acquisition cost. He's built really amazing visuals for automotive companies such as NASCAR. And I've worked in financial institutions protecting banks from cybersecurity threats. And I sit on the board of the African American Automotive Association as well. On top of that, we're backed by an incredible group of mentors and advisors who have worked at world-renowned companies specifically within our focus area of automotive and marketplace. And our team has been told that you can't reinvent the wheel, but we believe that you could reinvent the wheel marketplace. Thank you.
Great job. One of the things that I noticed you did is like there's a crescendo to the pitch. You start to sort of unveil different aspects of it. It's interesting. I think 6 minutes is tight, and I think you have time to spare. And I was looking, and you spent 2.5 minutes just on the problem. So I've been saying, like, focus on the problem, focus on the problem. I think you have time to not focus on the problem so much. I would have liked to, because it's not because it's not important, it's because I think it took away from some of the other things I wanted to hear. So at the same time, that's not a bad thing. So I'm giving you this advice, telling you all the problems that I see, yet can be a good thing too. So don't necessarily listen to my advice, if that makes any sense. But because what you want in a pitch, like a 6-minute pitch in particular, so you want to leave me some questions. You want me to be interested in listening to you, have a conversation after. I'm just very intrigued about the other markets, because 4.5 billion and you take 10%, that's a $450 million market for wheels. I get the sense that you're spending a ton of energy into the wheel market, but I don't know, like how long is it going to take you to get, my question is really this, how long is it going to take you to develop that market? And when are you going to start developing the other markets that it sounds you want to develop? I would have, and I'll promise I'm going to be quiet, but there's a lot of questions I have in my head, but I would have presented the total opportunity to maybe to be 10 billion rather than 100 billion, if I'm correct. Because I think the way you're presenting it makes sense. But the way I think about it as an investor, and this depends, of course, who you're pitching to, is how much money are you going to make? Not what is your GMV, but what is it that is coming to you? And so my mind again started to go into the other side. So, a question for you: tell me a little bit more about when you start to tackle the rest of the other markets.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think what we're waiting for is to see early signs of product market fit. We really want to become a burning hot core in the sense of automotive enthusiasts know where to go when they're looking for wheels. And once we see signs of that, whether it's interviewing them or just seeing customer reviews come in constantly, then we'll start bolting on things like audio, exhaust, engine modifications, all of that.
So when you wake up in the morning, like what's the one thing that you're super psyched to work on with this company, this idea? Like what gets you jazzed and energized?
Well, automotive conferences are like giant burnout pits.
Okay.
So it's unlike any other industry, but really just watching the community accept the product and the platform and continue to create UGC and talk about it amongst themselves. So it's marketing itself.
Yeah, so like the reason I asked that question is like, I think that's what you want your audience, whatever the audience is, investors, enthusiasts, like I think that's pretty clear. It's a good example, like looking at this pitch, first of all, great pitch, like your control and comfort with the content is as like top decile, right? That's not commenting on the others here today, but like having seen 10 or 15 years of these things, like this is what you want to be doing, like just almost like it's just you talking at dinner about your passion, right? And so that's where I think an investor or a customer or an enthusiast, anyone you might be trying to pull into the WheelPrice community or way of life and way of thinking, like you're close to being able to nail that almost intuitively. And that's what's really interesting about, I think, what you did today. It's like, that's what I would take away if I'm in the audience or if I'm you, is like keep that focus. Because if you're not asking for money, which is also a really cool part of this pitch, like there's no real business model ask for money thing here, which is actually a really smart way to think about raising money for your company. Because it really is about the community. It's about finding the enthusiasts. The enthusiasts will probably show up, right? You show pictures of Ferraris, Mercedes, BMW, like there's money there, right? So I kind of like that. That's an interesting tack to take. Like if you don't have to make the hard ask, Like maybe don't make the hard ask as an entrepreneur. Just show the passion, show the alignment with the community, put some nice quantitative data up there for us, and then like kind of make them come to you. So I think you have a good shot at doing that. Yeah. I don't have much more feedback than that. Like just keep drilling in on that. And I think you're going to find that this pitch goes across 4 or 5 different potential target audiences.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll double down on a couple of points you make, Mark. So 6-minute pitch. When do you use that? Usually on a demo day, and sometimes you have to say what you need there. But oftentimes, the time when you're going to use it is really in a conversation. And you usually don't want to ask for money in a first conversation. So I think exactly what Mark pointed out, what is interesting about your pitch is your passion comes across right away, right? Like it's very clear. I think that's something that a lot of people sometimes don't do enough of. And, am I done?
No.
Oh, okay.
Laura's just texting. She's multitasking.
Oh, I see. but there's an interesting dynamic here between what an investor. I keep wanting to see the bigger market, and I think the tension that you're going to have, the natural tension you're going to have, is to limit that. Because at what point do you go beyond your passion? What a point does it just become something that is like, okay, I'm just doing this because the investors want to see me, so work on. And like I keep thinking that that's an interesting idea. There's a huge number of items that could be bought that are difficult to get, and and I don't know that there's a great way to do that. But I think playing with that tension and making sure that you're tackling big enough opportunities, but not eliminating your passion, because that is what's differentiating about what you're doing.
So the passion, and then tying the curated content to establishing trust, like that's where I'd want to kind of follow up with you. That's where I'd spend all my time. Like, okay, talk to me about how the curation behind the scenes, like anyone can say, like marketplaces.
That's
forever.
exactly right.
Yeah, marketplaces, like we curate. How do you curate? Like, feedback, ratings, like, or there's actual editorial curation. Like that's where I think you need to kind of drill down on the next pitch. The 30-minute pitch or 60-minute pitch in an office with an investor is like, here's the secret sauce.
Yeah, the reason why the passion is useful is because that translates into the 9,000 users.
That's right.
It's not just the passion alone. It's like the combination of, okay, clearly you're hitting a nerve with people like you and you understand the problem. That's the other thing. And so, but there is a market opportunity, and I personally would have loved to hear more about that, about where do you take this and the timeline that it takes you. Because again, depending on the audience that you're thinking about is what is it that you're going to build? And are you going to take the next leap within the time frame of my fund, right? And that's a big question.
Oh, that's good feedback.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then it's like more towards what you guys do next, perhaps, is like think about who you want to invest in the company and like actually dream towards that ideal investor and see if you can find them in the market. So that's like, I don't know what to call that. It's not really pitch related feedback, but like as you guys are thinking about growing your business, capitalizing your business, like be stingy on who you partner with on the investment side, because it's going to matter, right? And it might be someone who's not totally in line with you. Like I'm sure you can find a car enthusiast, Rolex enthusiast, Air Jordans enthusiast, right? And they're just going to be like awesome. And then when things don't meet the like holy cow moment and there's not exuberance and ramp, like you want to find investors that are going to be patient, long duration, because I think Lister's right. Like we all want to know where this goes, and you want patient, aligned capital that's probably not as high enthusiasm as you guys are on cars, but is like gets it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I'd be working on if I was one of your 3-person team. Yeah.
Small but mighty.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Anyway, good job. Great job. Yeah.